These are 8-inch.
About the size that you asked what dick we wanted. True.
Well, in terms of shoes, I wouldn't go beyond 8-inch, but that doesn't translate to other areas of my life.
I'm Daisy, I'm 37, I'm straight, I am a showgirl and I own the Peach Pole studio.
I'm Foxy, I'm 35, I am straight and single, and I am a pole dance instructor and stripper. She's my boss.
She's my bitch. People do pole dancing for a whole raft of reasons. Some of it is to get fit, most of it's actually not. It's to bring out something in themselves, give them self-confidence.
I think it's really nice girls look up to you when they first start. You could do something, quite easy on the pole and they're like, oh my God, that is amazing. And it's nice to actually, sometimes when you finish your class, to be appreciated like that, definitely. It's quite rewarding in that aspect. And then watching your students grow as well is a rewarding aspect as well. Even the ones who turn up, to be strippers, who end up getting jobs and you're like, oh, you sort of enjoy being that mentor in a way. The first thing we would tell someone who's coming in to start a pole class would be just to wear gym clothes, something that they're comfortable in. For our first classes, they're not walking in a bra and hot pants and then instantly gyrating against a pole. So we tell them to wear something that's comfortable, gym shorts and a t-shirt, and they're not going to be wearing high heels. And we start them off very gently with just the fundamental moves. And it's also about knowing where to actually lift on your body, you know what I mean? Like you're making sure that you're like pulling up from the right area, not just from the shoulder. So it's more of I find it's a bit more of a fitness class in that respect, because we don't want to scare them with sexy body rolls or, humping the floor, anything like that. Really start at the basics in a really comfortable environment. And also telling them that when they're there, no one else has got the time or the energy to judge them or look at their bodies, because they're too busy focused on what they're doing themselves and getting it right. Because that's one of the big things, is the self-confidence. People think that when they're walking into a pole dancing class that they're going to be swinging around like J-Lo in Hustlers or something in a sequined bikini, where it's absolutely the opposite from that.
That's also one thing that keeps people from joining up, and they always say, I've wanted to do this for such a long time, and then when they come to do the class they love it and they say, I wish I had joined a year ago when I wanted to. It's one of the things mostly stopping them is people are going to be staring at me, and that's actually not the case, because everybody is just really concerned about what they're doing. You should never compare yourself to anyone else in the class, because you're good at this element and someone else is good at this element and someone else is, there's so many elements to it that you just have to concentrate and celebrate what you're good at and work out what you need to work at.
When you first opened, remember when the studio first opened on the Central Coast, we found it really difficult to teach a sexy side of pole, and now, as Daisy says, we can't get them to keep their clothes on. So the confidence that they've built throughout those years that they pass on to other students as well is quite amazing.
We've provided that safe space. You're not actually, we're in the industry without being in the industry, so they get the best bits. The confident, the seeing their bodies move, wearing like beautiful like lingerie or clothes or whatever they want to wear, having that self-confidence, seeing their bodies get like stronger and look better and achieve things that they would never thought possible.
Favourite song to dance to? Well, for stripping for me, I always finish, if I'm doing a bar show, I finish with Future Sex Love Sounds by Justin Timberlake. It's one of my favourite sexy songs to dance to. Normally when we're doing a show, we do it themed. So sometimes you're dancing to the songs you don't actually like because it just fits your theme. But if you're doing it a lot, sometimes I just dance to the song I like, because I'm like, stuff it. You'll always do a good performance if you like the song. So I don't necessarily, I mix mine up a lot. Actually, you've got Bulls on Parade by Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, you do a good show to that one. Favourite costume, schoolgirl or French maid, because there's a lot you can do with it in a show. There's like a lot of character work you can do with it, which obviously takes up time. Yeah,
same, French maid is really good. I've got like a gangster with a big coat and hat. For the same reason, any kind of props and stuff like that is really, really good, yeah.
We have heaps of girls who transition from just wanting to learn pole dancing to becoming more confident about their bodies and then wanting to make money from it, which is exactly the same way we started out. Started pole and then you grow your confidence from there, and then they want to learn all the tricks, everything, and they start in the industry pretty quickly.
I guess sometimes that's the downside of glamorizing and creating a safe space in some ways, where giving them an experience that's actually not in the real world though, and there's something beautiful about that. But for some, we glamorize it and they're like, we want to be like that, but of course we don't teach all the bad things that happen, or the, you know, the behind the scenes stuff. So sometimes, you know, everybody can make their own choices, but you know, sometimes about giving them a pep talk that, okay, this is like the good experience part, and you know, the supportive atmosphere, and you're always safe here, versus the real world, that's not what it's going to be like. You are going to have to hustle, you are going to be disrespected.
I think you do have to give them the bad stories too, because you don't want, if their first experience is a terrible one, you don't want it to affect them. But yeah, you also need to be open about that. Yeah, sometimes it's going to be shit.
Yeah. What's the weirdest thing that's happened in a lap dance, Foxy?
Well, I thought I was...
What's that on your shoe? What's that on your shoe?
Oh God, okay, this only happened not so long ago actually, last year sometime I think it was. We were at a small shindig of rich guys, and some of us were strippers, some were escorts. And one of the escorts came up to me and she goes, "This gentleman wants to pay you $300 so you give a lap dance." Actually, she said it was going to be a double lap dance. I'm like, fine, no problem at all. So we went into, it was in an office, so we went into the little photocopier room. Anyway, I started dancing around while she obviously was going to give him a blowjob, which he had paid for. He'd given me the $300. Anyway, I was sort of dancing around, and then he asked me if I could lick his nipples. And I'm like, okay, so you don't want me to dance? It's like, okay, fine. So I was already there. So I did. I said to him that I wouldn't do any more than that. I was strictly just there as a stripper. So, you know, like, working the nipples, and then next minute I felt something wet and warm on my shoe, and he'd come on my shoe. He didn't ruin them, thankfully. They were salvageable.
I told her when we drove home that foot better be out the window, because I did not want that in my car.
Yeah, I washed my foot a lot that night when I got home. I felt a little bit funny after that for a few days. I wasn't sure how I felt like that, but I think that's the only time I have ever dipped my toe into the escort industry. So as far as I was concerned, I was there to do a lap dance, and he just asked me to stop dancing and lick his nipples.